It has been a really, really lovely week. I have a new phone, so I can actually film with nice things, which is nice. I have been reading Enchanted April. It lapsed, sadly, so I think I have to wait for like a week to get it back, but it's about these four women who are very different, who are going on this trip and exploring the world, and they are all English ladies. One is like a lady, one is like a rich woman who's like 65, but keeps on like mentioning the fact that she knows like Shakespeare. This is in like 1922. It talks about like it's very funny. Like one of the lines is something about like how even though the Great War took out so many young people, they're still littering everywhere. As in not like that they're littering, as in they're doing things, but like that their bodies are littered everywhere because she just hates people when like the lady is just constantly frustrated by like having to be around people. She's like, I got away from like talking to anyone. What inconvenience. And then there's like this woman who is Appleton, who is like a church lady. Her husband is kind of like this man who writes memoirs about the lovers of kings, but she's like this very holy woman. And then there's Mrs. Wilkins, who is like the woman who just loves everything, who's very cheerful and like very excited to get away from her very controlling husband, and just assumes that everyone is like her with so much joy. And she's like, it's heaven. And it's very funny. And it's my second Elizabeth von Arnim book after Elizabeth and Her German Garden. I'm currently in a neighboring town of Cambridge, and I think I just found a mansion. It's very beautiful. I guess we found our answer with this and this beautiful gate here. This is a very, very beautiful free little library. So I often don't take any books at all just because it's free little libraries, but this one I'm very intrigued by. It's Margaret Atwood, The Robert Bride. I have heard about this. I don't think I will end up taking it just because it's not like a copy I would love, but it's very intrigued because I am not sure how in print this book actually is, but it's very interesting. And then we had I'm going to butcher the name, but in Montparnasse, The Emergence of Surrealism in Paris from Duchamp to Dali, which also seems really interesting and I will definitely look up later. We also have this one, which I put back, but I just love the name of, which is Unusual Uses for Olive Oil by Alexander McCall Smith, who I recognize that name. I'm not sure who he is the author of, but the one I'm definitely taking because I've been looking at it forever is Brideshead Revisited, which is by Evelyn Waugh. I've heard that this is like a really, really good book, and I know it's many people's favorite, so I'm really excited to have it in my collection. It's a really nice copy too. And because I'm a huge nerd, I also redid this as well, so it looks prettier now. I have started Roger Ackroyd, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It is making me want to reconsider Agatha Christie. I think I've read 5 of her novels. This is my 6th, and I really, really love And Then There Was None, as well as The Murder on the Orient Express. But the others have been mediocre, and it's kind of been like, I like at one point was like, I'm going to read all the Poirot novels. It's going to be great. And then I was kind of like, well, maybe I'm just not. Like, it was a good run. I have my like bases covered, and I was like, I'm going to read Roger Ackroyd, and then I'm going to be fine because I've heard that it is the best. And then I'll like have read the 3 best and her first novel and some others, and now I'm like, maybe I should like dive back in. But I'm like, maybe I should also just reread the ones that I love, or maybe I shouldn't like spoil the high of Roger Ackroyd. I'm pretty much halfway through. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really excited. You know, that awkward time when you're waiting for someone to make you feel and you don't want to stare at them, but like I have nothing to go on my phone because I don't have data or anything. So I pull my book out and I'm like reading as they prepare my food, hear noise, and I like look up and I don't see anything, and then I go back to my book, and then he asks louder what my book is, and I'm reading Interpreter of Maladies, so he's like, that's like really like intellectual and stuff. And I wasn't sure if he was like trying to hit on me or just be like whatever, and I was like, yeah, it is. And then I felt like a huge tool, because who answers to like it's really intellectual by being like it is? But like I'm not gonna be like, no, this book isn't intellectual. And I was like, yeah, it's like talking about the Indian American experience and like what this whole vibe. And I'm like, I feel like I'm not making this better. And he's like, I should buy it. And I was like, you should. Anyways, like normally I don't mind, but it's kind of weird when there's between a counter and just like not someone casually talking, because I'll always casually talk about books, but it's always awkward when like they're working. Anyways, that was my awkward book experience yesterday, and I'm like slowly picking up. I need to read it because I like the first one made you cry so much, and the second one, but I haven't been like reading it straight through. It's been my like book, and I feel like I really need to like read it really well. So maybe I need to like make something else my first book. That is my weekend so far. I'm probably gonna finish Roger Ackroyd, and then I'm gonna start my Booker Prize readathon, and I'm really excited for that. And film my middle grade magic thing. We have many important things that happened over the last week. First of all, I lost my Twilight virginity. It was a beautiful experience that I've been waiting for so long, and it was perfect. Like I almost had it when I was like 20, and then it didn't work out, and because someone else was doing it. They were joking with the lamb and the lion, and I walked in, wandered in, watched a little bit, realized they were definitely on a date, and then left. So I watched it. My friend had a New Moon board game, which we watched the first, and then we watched that as we were playing, which
someone who has seen many feminist critiques but does not generally know the ins and outs of everything that happened, it was interesting. I'm supposed to watch Eclipse. Tomorrow we're going to be watching Breaking Dawn, the first and second. I have watched parts of the second movie. I watched like 20 minutes in the middle, or maybe the beginning, honestly. It was the part with like Jacob finding out the thing. Oh my goodness, I just forgot about that. And I was so confused by this, and then my friend fast forwarded to the very end, so I got to see the epilogue and stuff, which was equally terrifying. So I have watched parts of it before, but not completely. So this is experience that I have. I finished Sense and Sensibility, which was delightful. I am annoyed that this camera apparently cannot vlog full screen without being really close to my head, so I'm sorry, I'm still learning how to do it. I have read 6 Agatha Christie's because I thought I had a cold. I had like a little bit of sore throat and my rib has swollen back up and stuff, so I was resting yesterday. And I succeeded to finish Roger Ackroyd and then read 5 more, which I was delighted by because my Agatha Christie story is that I had read Murder in the Orient Express and then there was none, and then 2 others that actually 3 others that I had not been particularly fond of. So I had decided that I was going to read Murder of Roger Ackroyd and maybe like the 3 that I had on my shelves, but maybe not. And then I was gonna, say goodbye to Agatha, give her a nice farewell, and move on. But I really like Roger Ackroyd. And then right after that, what was the one that I read after? Murder in the Blue Train, which I wasn't like the biggest fan of, but it compelled me enough. And then I read Paddington, and Paddington 450 from Paddington, I really liked. I really liked the more domestic aspect, which again, I read Vicarage by the first in Miss Marple series, and I like decided to not really read any more of hers because I just didn't like it very much. And she's very different in her later appearances and stuff, and I really like it. I think I like 50s and 60s Agatha, and then I read the next one, which was The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side, which I really, really liked. And then I read Murder in the Lynx, which, again, I think some of her early 1920s, like she's just starting as an author, I'm not as big of a fan. Like, I still enjoyed it, but I don't think I'll remember it with the same delight. And then I read Cricket House, which was one of her independent ones with no, like, particular detective, and I really enjoyed it. It's about this family, like, some of it wasn't as clearly drawn, but the twists and turns were beautiful. And that was mostly my reading. And I really want to read all Agatha all the time. Gone back to the Enchanted April because I got it from another library. And I really think I would love it, but I'm not sure that I'm in the right mood. But I'm not sure that if I'm so worried about not being in the right mood that I'm like making myself not in the mood. You know what I mean? It's interesting. So I think that's part of it. But I am enjoying this week and I'm trying to be patient with myself on whichever turns and corners I go. I finished Enchanted April and I really, really love it. I think I let myself like just enjoy it, and it is really delightful. It's about these 4 women who all come from different classes and attitudes and stuff, and I like a lot of it is like by choosing to be agreeable or like just choosing to let themselves let go of how they think they should be pre-established, they actually find a lot of love and connectivity, and I really, really love that. Like, so often the ways that hold us against are the walls that we construct ourselves, and that's a lot of it. And it's also about free female friendship and about love, but also about love between other women. This one just made me very full. I think it will be a book that I return to again and again and have a different appreciation at different times of my life. I can like look at Lady Catherine and laugh because I have definitely been her at times, and I can definitely be related to other experiences. I think I'm in like my Lottie era of just being enthusiastic about things. I can also see different parts of Rose in me, and I can see myself becoming a Mrs. Fisher, and I really love it so well. So I think I really like Von Arnim's writing. I said when I read Elizabeth in Her German Garden that it reminded me so much of Lucy Maud Montgomery, and I still think that's true. Like, they're very different in their construction and characters, but just like this omniscient narration and allowing like things with kindness underneath and feminism and this joy of nature and stuff. And yeah, I think it's really underrated, and this is a 100-year anniversary of it, so I would absolutely recommend it. It is, not the most diverse book because it's all about women who are white, who are at least middle class, but I think that it is still really feminist. I had a really great time with Agatha Christie. I had a wonderful time finding books and, losing my Twilight virginity. All of it was just really fun. And yeah, I hope you'll join me in another week and have a great time. Happy reading, writing. Tell me what is your favorite book that you picked up or that you read recently that just filled you with joy?
So as I wait in the hospital waiting room to pick someone up, I am going to talk about something I heard on the radio. I love the radio. I think it's very underrepresented in the things that we talk about, but they asked if they had, like most people have a teacher or something like that that they really connected with and had a huge impact. And I had two I really, really loved. My history teacher, I had her for both grade 11 and 12, and I also TA'd for her in grade 12, and she was just wonderful. She had a British accent. We probably did not agree on many things, but she did really inform my like ideas about critical thinking and things like that. And my favorite story about her is I asked for a reference, and she wouldn't give it to me to go to university because she was first upset that I pursued counseling over history, and second of all, I had a minor in theology, and as someone who's very strictly unreligious, was a little upset that I hadn't turned into an atheist. I think, but no, she was like very like wanting of religious things, and she'd always ask me to explain religious things, and I'd be like, yeah. But and if you understand and research history, it can become very easy to become anti-religious, I think, because of the ways that the church and other religions have chosen to like hurt things. But it was great because like 2 years later I visited her. She was like, are you still looking at religion? And I was like, yes ma'am, I am. When I was in college, I had a teacher, and I really, really loved him. He was my head in the department, and I had him for like at least 2 classes each semester, and he was one of those people that was like a little awkward in talking. Like he wasn't the favorite on like interpersonal relationships, but he really, really loved lecturing, and he was such a good lecturer, and I just really, really loved him and was informed. I really, really loved him as a teacher and was informed so much as my worldview, how I looked at hoping, how I looked at things. Like I quote him all the time without actually quoting him. His torrid love affair with Carl Rogers, his really strong belief in unconditional positive regard, so many of those aspects that became core to who I am and how I look at the world and how I choose to look at helping professions are from him. And yeah, I really appreciated him as a professor, and I learned so much from him, and I think I probably took like 8 or 9 classes with him throughout my degree. And yeah, I was devastated he actually left my senior year, and I was very, very sad. So yeah, I really loved him and looked up to him, that he really hit us hard. Like he was one of the hardest marking in my school, and he was known for that, but he also had a lot of compassion. And then his last year, he himself dealt with some mental health and stuff and burnout, and he became more compassionate and stuff, and he advocated and had conversations with us about that. And I don't know, he's just one of the people that I still respect the most, even though I haven't seen him in years. So that's my thoughts on teachers, and I just wanted to add that because I thought it was like a perfect thing as we go back to school, as we talk about things about how much people are impacted by their teachers and how much I've been impacted. I'm sure I would have been by elementary as well. I didn't attend elementary because of my learning disability and stuff. I was homeschooled until grade 9, and there's a lot of teachers there who really helped me and connected with me. Funnily, as someone who loves reading in English, I never connected as well with those teachers, but I really appreciated them. So yeah, this is my value for teaching and for academics and stuff like that. And I think that a teacher can really transform a learning experience and have such a high impact on you as a student.